Hello and welcome to my Tesla Powerwall. I just really wanted to make a video on how exactly I build my packs. My packs are going to be a 1S. This is one series pack, and it's a 240p, which means there's 240 cells in parallel. So my design has it where I have 10 going across this way, and then I have 24 coming across this way. So it stands at 10, and the length of it is 24. So I use these 18650 spacers. They are 4x5s. Again, they go 10 up, and then 4 each go across. But what I basically wanted to show you is exactly how I build these things, or at least how I built it in my pack and how I've learned. I do owe a lot of that, honestly, to Lithium Solar, HP Powerwall, and Average Joe. I went back and watched a lot of their videos. I am just a guy who works in IT. I'm not an electrician or anything like that. Everything I've learned from pretty much reading the Facebook group and watching those videos from those guys. So yeah, let me get to exactly how I do this. Now, the first thing I use is this. So I don't have any of the copper bars free. I kind of made them all already, so you're just gonna kind of have to use your imagination here. But basically, what this is a 7¼ inch in length copper bar, and it's meant to be basically right in the middle of all this, but not hitting the ground if I were to lay these down. So it's a 7¼ inches. It is 3/4 of an inch wide and 1/8 of an inch deep. So that's basically how or what this is. So what I do is, again, pretend these copper, these are actually 8 gauge copper wire, but just pretend these aren't there for a second. So what I would do is I would line this up in the center, and then I would drill a 5/16 hole in the middle. I thought about going 3/4 of an inch, but it ended up being a little too wide, so this ended up working a lot better. But what you would do is you would just mark it with a pencil right in the middle of where these will go. And the reason for that is because each two of these cells going down will connect to this copper wire, and then these two will connect to this, these two will connect to this, these two will connect to this. And later I'll tell you what we're going to do with the middle one right here. But basically, so what you do is you'll mark it with a pencil, and then once you have that done, you would cut this 21, yeah, 21.5 inch copper wire. You would cut 4 of them, so 8 per full pack, because this is just one side of a pack. But yeah, so this is 21 inch, 21.5. And the reason I do that is to let out a little bit of extra room at the end here. Here, I'll just kind of move this over a bit. But just because it's better to have a little bit more slack than not enough, I think go back and have to do it all over again. So from at that point, what I would do is once they're marked, I would weld. And I don't have like a torch or anything like that. I ended up using this thing that I got in the kitchen. It's basically a like creme brulee torch, but it works just fine. It gets just as hot as it needs to, and it did the trick. But what I got here is the copper wire. So on those pencil marks, you would lay it down right where those pencil marks are, and then you would just preheat the bar. Once it's preheated, put some flux down, and then put the copper wire on top, and then just while continuing to heat it, melt the solder right onto it. If this gets enough traction, maybe I'll show a video. A good video actually to watch on that is Mike's Lithium Solar. He's got a really good video. Basically, I took this from his design. He just kind of doesn't do this anymore, and I really like the look of it, so I've kind of kept it going. But yeah, definitely watch his videos if you're curious on how to weld it on there. And again, I will make one if enough people ask, I guess. But once they're welded on here, what you're gonna do is you're gonna measure. Move this over a bit. You're gonna measure about 1 inch off of this, and you're gonna just mark it again with a pencil. Now, I don't have any like professional tools, so what I ended up using was a TV tray, and I would put this at the end of the TV tray, like 1 inch would hang off of it, and then literally put my body on top of it, and then just bend it. Again, I don't have a vise or anything like that, so I kind of had to get creative with it. But so once that's done, and you can see that this is kind of dirty. This is because this is how copper is. I did kind of sand it there so you can see that it shines a little bit, but doesn't really shine anywhere else. So once you have these made, I've had them made for a while. I've just been kind of going on and off the project, but once you have this made, then you would just kind of sand it down, and that would end up looking a lot better, and it would look like this. Just, I don't know if you can tell from the camera, but it's definitely just shinier and looks a lot nicer when it's like this. Yeah, so just kind of wanted to show you what those look like. All right, so once that's done, and then you've bent it, it's gonna look like this. Let me just pull this out here. It's gonna look like this. You're gonna be pretty much at a 90-degree angle at the sides, but this is exactly how you want it to look. And it's a good test because the copper wire, if you bend the copper wire and this just snaps off, you know you got a bad soldering point, so you can redo it. But yeah, that's what it looks like when it's done. So from this point, you would basically hang it over this, and let me get something just to kind of lay it down. You'd get something like this, and you would put it over it. And right where it bends at that 90-degree angle is kind of where you want it to start. That way the bar is kind of in the middle of the full pack once it's going across. So once you have this, you're going to cut some heat shrink. The heat shrink that I used for all this for the 8-gauge bar was this XF or XHF stuff, 3-to-1 heat shrink. I got it from Amazon, but it worked great. You just want to kind of copy that, but it works great. So what you're going to do is you're going to cut it 4 of these. These are 1.5 inches each. I only have 3 here, but you'll have 4 of these. So kind of bring it up, but that's on my nails and stuff. I've been building packs all day, so I didn't really wash my hands before I started the video. But anyway, so you would grab this and you'd have all 4, and then you would just kind of push this on if I can. And then once you have it on there, this is like take 10, so this is kind of getting beat up. But you would just basically heat shrink it on there, and you would do it for all 4. So once you have that done, it would look like this. Let me grab it here. So it would look like this. So you have the heat shrink going over everything. And again, it's 1.5 inches. And once you have that, it falls in just like this. And once you have that, you would kind of lay it down, and then you can kind of pencil mark right here, or you can eyeball it. But then from this point, what you would do is you'd grab these ones, and these are cut at 1/2 inch. These ones right here. So let me, yeah. And then you would just bring these in. You know, you can do 2, 3, 4, 5, and even like 9 at a time. And then once you have them kind of laid there exactly where you want to make sure that's straight as well. And a lot of this is eyeballing because that's just how I did it. But then you would lift it straight up, and you'd have it like that, and then you would just heat shrink it at this point. And then once you have that, all 3 of them done, especially in this little side, go all the way up. At that point, you can use the middle point as a reference to get the rest of them done. And then once you have that done, it would look like this. So this is how it would look. So that's just kind of the beginning part of it. And don't worry too much about the wire. And I mean, it's the good thing about having the 8-gauge wire is that it's very flexible. So it's gonna kind of go everywhere, but just try to keep it straight. So once you have this done, you can kind of do the rest of that, and you can see how it just kind of rests right on it. Sometimes it might be a little off, but you just want it as close as possible. But that's what it'll look like when you get it going, and then it'll look like this when it's done. So it'll kind of have this kind of look to it. You just kind of go across the whole thing. So yeah. And again, it'll lay flat. It's even. I'm just not doing a good job showing it, but you want those just basically covering the squares, and then you have the hook here. So once that's done, you need the middle part. You're gonna get the same bar or the same wire you've been using, and you're gonna cut it to 19 inches. I just kind of spoiled it, and the 19 inches is gonna fit perfectly. from the beginning to the end of the pack. So once you have that done, you would go ahead and sand this again just to kind of make it shiny. And then you would do the same thing, just kind of laying it down and then just putting 3/2 inches, 3/2 inches, and just heat shrinking it. And then you'd have this. And then at this point, once you have it set up like this is where you're basically going to do some drilling. I don't know the drill bit size. I can kind of put it to the camera, but I don't really know exactly the size of it. But this is the drill bit. Again, it's all like, it's pretty gross. But yeah, so what you're gonna do is you're just, and you can kind of see it. I don't know if I'm gonna do justice here, but I drilled holes. There's one there, 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 one there. And that holds all the ones going across it at that middle point. And then you're gonna cut these ones here, where you're gonna see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and that's actually going to be the vertical bars that go across, right across each one of these. And I'll get to that in a second, but that's where you're going to want to drill, and you can kind of see where the holes are. I don't know if I'm getting this, but but there are holes cut into this. And once you have that done, you would go across the whole thing with drilling that same thing. So the middle one here, and then the corner, then the middle one, the corner, and again the same way all the way down. And then once that's done, you would just start zip tying it. You would essentially get these like 4-inch zip ties, and let me grab just a couple. But you just get these 4-inch zip ties, and then from when you made the 2 holes, you would just stick a zip tie through it and kind of just clamp it down basically so it doesn't move. And like I was saying before, this will go these will go everywhere, but once you get it tied down, the 8-gauge wire is pretty flexible, and it'll stay where it is, or you'll be able to move to where you want it to be. And the reason I went with 8-gauge is because it's the biggest wire you can get and still get a cell out. For me, that's very important. Just because if you go with 6-gauge, you're kind of stuck. You'd have to take the whole thing apart just to get to one battery. And with 8-gauge, I can at least get it out because I had to do it with my last pack. So yeah, that's why I went with 8-gauge. And again, this bar here can handle up to 215 amps from what I read on the website for copper bar amperage. And each 240 pack is only going to be hitting 90 amps. So I'm kind of overdoing it, but I'm hoping that'll keep the heat down and maybe just help with the flow of electricity going through it. Correct me if I'm wrong there, but again, this is just a theory. Then after I started doing it, I just thought it looked cool, so I left it the way it is. But once you have this built like this, this is when you're going to get a 6 3/4 inch of the 8-gauge wire, and you're going to basically lay it across like this. And then once it's like that, you're going to get these 1-inch, again, the same heat shrink you had before, but it's just cut to 1 inch. And then you'll get 4 of them, and you'll go across. This video is turning out going to be a lot longer than I thought it was going to be. Okay, so you'll get like 4 of them, and then you just kind of line it up center. Make sure these are all in the center. And then once they're like that, just pick it up, go across, and just shrink them down. And then once you have that, you'll go across each one of them, and then you'll zip tie it with the 2 holes that we had made, you know, all across here, off these ones. So once you have the holes cut, one there, one there, one there, one there, one there, one there, once those are drilled in place, you can zip tie them down. And once you've done that, it will look like this. So now you have a pack that is essentially assembled. Oh, you know what? I did miss a step. So you also want to drill a hole here, the second one like you were drilling before, but additional hole there as well in the middle. And that's going to be because a zip tie will go through it and it'll keep the pack together. It'll really hold it in place, especially when you got to move them around, but they're not soldered yet. It kind of a pain to get the other one to stick on top of it. But once you have it, you kind of want to keep it because it's a pain. So that's what I did to just kind of keep them intact. So yeah, so definitely drill a hole in the center on the ends as well. So that's pretty much a pack. And then you can see from the previous one that there is a bolt. You know, it's a 5/16 inch bolt. And then you have the washer on one end. I think you can kind of see it there. And then the nut on the other end. And that's just so we can connect the packs up. So once you have that, that's pretty much it for this, I'm thinking this video. But then you have all these things. And the only thing I compare it to is when you get like a new iPhone or a new phone and you get to peel that that layer off, that like protective plastic. And then you can go through and just with some snippies, just cut all these off. And then eventually you'll have two. And one will go that way, one will go this way. And I always want to keep the flat side of these 18650 spacers on the bottom. That way they're easier to slide in and out. And that's pretty much it. So once that's cut and then you put it in the packs, I have to get up for this one, but this is what a completed pack will look like. Okay, yeah, you're not really gonna be able to see the whole thing. So let me do this. So this is what a completed pack looks like, and here are the zip ties I was talking about. So basically you're just, so it won't open, and it'll just keep it down. But like I said, they're mainly these purple cells in the last video, and then some of the blues. And then all the green ones are from my previous build. But that's what it looks like. I'm sitting on an exercise ball. All right. So that's basically what it looks like. The next video will have basically me soldering and spot welding everything on, and then also going through the pack, the server cabinet, and then the solar as well. And again, just these are actually all made up of these. So they're all basically made up of these cells. It's the NCR 18650Bs. There's 1,920 of them in these packs all together. And again, this is just one. This is one pack of 240. And my pack is a 15S 480. So two of these packs is going to equal 1S. So in each one of these have been testing at about 650 amp hours. So total I'm getting about 1,300 or so amp hours per pack. So it should be pretty big. I'm hoping to get about 60 kilowatts out of it. But it's made up of that many green NCR 18650Bs, the Panasonics, and then most of them are built with this guy. These are LG M26 cells. I can't remember exactly how many there are, but these tested basically like new, so I kept them. And I got these from the 9bot scooters, and it appeared that if it didn't have these, rarely I would get these. And these are Blue Eve cells. I can't really find a flaw in them. I've tested them just as much as I tested the purple ones, and they test great. The internal resistance stays very low. And again, yeah, that keeps lasting. I keep testing it and getting around the same number. So I included them. As you can see kind of in this pack, there'll be 8 going towards the end. And then every once in a while, I'll have another 8 right before the green. So yeah, these ended up making the cut. On the Facebook group, I do see these a lot. So I know that some people know that they're actually quality cells. But anyway, this is the pack. There'll be more to come. If you have any questions or comments, just go ahead and leave them down in the comment section. And yeah, if you have any questions or you have any advice for me, just go ahead and put that down there as well. But yeah, thank you. More to come.